Hi everybody, welcome. Today's session, again, the idea here is that we talk about the less, focused part of the application, right? Which is the form itself. People think, okay, essays are the be all and end all of this. So we thought, let's cover something around the lines of, how the application form should be filled. Generally, people pay a lot of heed to essays, and when you reach out to admissions consultants as well, or start working or any B school application, it's always like, I have to work on the essays, I have to work on the essays, and that becomes the be all and end all of the application. But unfortunately or fortunately, there are other ways as well where you can demonstrate your candidature and improve upon it as well in terms of the way you present. Now, if you look at the application inspector at the end, right, when you download that PDF, and a few reapplicants might also be aware of that, that the part about essays comes way at the end. Before that, they are able to see your, of course, personal details, contact details, and all that, your education, employment, and then you look at the essays. Before that, it's all of these things, and the alums who are interviewing or the adcom already form an impression about you and your candidature way before that. Hence, it's very, very important to make sure that you are able to project it well. Okay, project it simple, project it well. And the other aspect is, in case you are taking help from somebody, or getting help from a consultant or an alum or a friend on the essays, and then you do this on your own, there is a clear demarcation in terms of the style of writing when it comes to the essays, and style of writing when it comes to the other aspects of the application. And the adcom, and more importantly the alums, are able to clearly distinguish whether you've written this on your own or you've got done it from somebody else. And that is always a red flag when it comes to the interview. At least you already again have an impression as an alum. Even when I used to take ISB interviews prior to starting this up, it used to be the same, that I knew, okay, this person has not written the essays on himself or herself, right? And when I say writing, it means the writing part of it. Of course, you take help or ideation and all that, because sometimes we undervalue and overvalue our achievements. You need that perspective, but write stuff on your own, in your own language. Let somebody else refine it, but it should not be that you give somebody your profile and let the essays come to you and you get it done, right? It will not help. You might get in, but eventually it will be a problem when you are in ISB or during the interview process, because you're not used to working hard on your own self, on your own candidature. Okay, so let's first go on the applications details bit. Again, this is pretty basic. Are you a reapplicant or not? So in case you were a YLP applicant and you could not get through, you're not considered as a reapplicant. It is only when you apply through a PGP or an EEO, you are considered as a reapplicant. And the only thing that you have to again add here is your application number, and there'll be one more essay in the essays that will pop up. Okay. Now, going to the personal details, again, pretty simple stuff. These are dummy numbers. This is not my passport and Aadhaar number, by the way, and not my date of birth too. So just simple stuff. Again, I don't need to go in detail in terms of what's there, right? Then basic stuff, again, your address and all that, again, doesn't matter, whatever it is. Again, if you want to skip details about your parents, you can do that, spouse, etc. Pretty basic. I don't need to go in details, right? Now let's come to the test scores. Now, see, ISB says that the test scores should reach ISB ideally before the deadline, but your test, should be on or before the deadline. So in case you have an unofficial score, you can apply with that. Attach the screenshot of the score that you got, or the appointment number and everything else. And once the score reaches ISB, let's say it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks, till then ISB will not review your application. So the first step that ISB does is review your application for completeness, and then they process it for interview calls and everything else. So the review itself will not be complete till the time they receive the score. So that's okay if you apply on the 4th of September and you take the test on that particular day. It's okay, but your application will not be reviewed fully till then. Again, that's not a disadvantage per se, because it's not as if they are picking the applications and making sure that whoever submits first is getting the interview call and all that. If your application has a merit, if your application is above that cutoff score, you'll be able to get that call at the end of the day. Okay. Then here again, test taken, appointment number, ID, and all that is again basic stuff. Make sure this date is absolutely clear when you send the score, because ISB tallies that in case there is a mismatch from pearson view or something else. Use the same GMAT ID, appointment number, test taken. ISB considers your highest score. So if you have got, and same for GRE as well. If you've got taken your test earlier and got a lower score, and that was sent to ISB and the higher score also, they'll just consider your higher score. Mention the highest score here in here, right? And in case you did not do AWA or IR, whether it's online or offline, just mention the highest particular score, and that's about it. Okay. Okay. Moving on to education now. Now, again, simple stuff around 10th, 12th here. Add details in case there was a gap within class 10th, if you kind of had to repeat it or failed and all that, or between two courses, just explain it. Again, it's too far off, first of all, but if there was a gap, explain it well in terms of what was the reason behind it, what did you learn from it in case there was a setback or you could not get through and all that. Now, some people, at least after 12th, have that gap when they are preparing for JEE or MBBS and all that, or some people have that after graduation when they are preparing for UPSC and the likes. Just mention whatever the gap is, be authentic, be okay with it. ISB understands that there are a lot of people who do that. Ultimately, is the entire docket that's looked at, and you will not be rejected for just that sole reason. Okay, that's very important to know. And that is past, right? You're presenting a lot of other things now. Okay. Now, a lot of times what happens is people were doing 2 degrees there at some point in time. So you do an integrated program on the left. In case you are doing something full time as your graduation, let's say BCom honors, along with that you were pursuing CA, etc., then it could be part time or distance education. Either ways, you can mention that. And then again, this is standard stuff. In case you feel that your name of the university is not there or the name of the institution is not there here, then you can reach out to ISB to get it added, and they will add it. Okay. Fine. Another question I see is from where do you include your classroom-based certifications, online certifications? You can fit it under online learning, but if you've done a lot of it, just mention the select few which are, let's say, a step towards your goals. Don't just mention everything and anything, because there are certain certifications that you sit for 2 hours and get that certificate. That won't matter. But if it's a longish course, etc., from Udemy or Coursera or whatever it is, you can mention it under online learning. Okay. All right. Back to education again. Anything, if you were postgraduate, mention that. In additional education, in case again full-time, part-time, it was a CA, CFA, whatever it is, you can mention that. All right. Now coming on to employment details, though that this is the meat of the application. All right. Because other things till now are facts, which you cannot change. You cannot go back and change your grades. You cannot go back and change your degree and everything else. Then it is very, very important to go back and reflect on what you can present well, because this is your subjective element that comes out. All right. So now again, full-time, part-time, C articleship is an option. Whatever it is, you can do that. um, the company, organization, whatever it was, choose an industry which most fits your particular industry. If there is others, just specify. Employer activity can be something that your employer does. Now this becomes important in case you are working at a startup which is not known, or any firm which is not in the mainstream. Let's say you are working at a Deloitte, EY, McKinsey, or for that matter at a Paytm, etc. It's okay to just keep it light, payment gateway or whatever it is. But in case it's a startup which is not known, please use these 100 characters wisely to show the kind of firm that you work with or the scale that you had. All right. Now, when it comes to job responsibilities and initiatives, it is okay. There are a few questions. Let's pick that up slightly later. Let me finish this one and I'll come back to this. Okay. So when it comes to job responsibilities and achievements, see, it is very, very, very important to simplify it. Okay. Because you don't know what background is the adcom or this person reviewing or the alum for that matter in the interview is coming from. Now, if you were in a highly technical field, try and simplify things as much as possible. Okay. So instead of, just saying that, and then add more color to it to show what kind of span that you had. So in for instance, if you, let's say, manage procurement for a particular product. Okay. Now, either one way to write is, okay, I managed procurement for this product, or you then quantify it. I managed a spend of, let's say, $500,000, whatever the amount of the spend on the procurement from that particular, SKU or whatever it was in your job was. So try and quantify it as much as possible, and you're able to show what you're doing in some sense. Manage the budget of XYZ for ABC. Try and show the sectoral expertise that you have, right? So if you were interacting with or liaising with people from across geographies such as ABC, mention that, because it's important to show that diversity that you're bringing to the table, the global exposure that you're bringing to the table. And that is more applicable for people, let's say, who are quote unquote typical IT professionals working for people in the US and all that. This is your chance to actually, up your game in terms of how you present it. Okay. If you There's one way to say that you let's say develop products for clients, or you can say that develop XYZ type of products for ABC type of clients, liaised with cross-functional teams to do XYZ. Okay, it's very important to use those kind of terminologies, because it then shows that the person A has taken effort to write this. And 100 characters, these are not 100 words, mind you. 100 character means almost 17 words tops. Okay, so it becomes challenging to fill it. Now, in case you do not have enough to fill more than 4, do not do that. It's perfectly okay, because the quality is more important than quantity. All right. Again, when it comes to initiatives and achievements, context matters. Now, in case you say, okay, I was uh, received appreciation from the partner of the firm, that does not tell me anything. But received appreciation from the partner for streamlining the audit process. Better yet, quantify again. In case you streamline the process, mention what kind of savings you brought about. Now, here as well, there are different ways to put it across. Either you can say you saved 5 hours for the team, or you can quantify into dollar terms, that I saved 5 hours per day. I saved that for 20 people, that becomes 100 hours per day. I saved that over, let's say, a month, which is 20 into 100, which is 2000 hours that you saved per month, and you multiply that by 12, it's 2400 hours that comes out, right? So 24,000 hours, which then you divide it by, let's say, 8 or 9, whatever the number of per day hours, you get a number of people that you impacted. And then if you have a billing rate for them, that is the amount you saved. Now, nothing is wrong in this calculation, but you're amplifying what you have done. That is very important. If the interviewer asks, you can always backtrack with this calculation, but you see where the impact is more. On one hand, we are talking about saved 5 hours per day, or the other hand, we are probably talking about saved $50,000 for the firm by doing XYZ. When it comes to, let's say, fast track promotions, don't just say that I was promoted in a fast track manner in 12 months. Mention what was the comparator, right? How do I know it's a fast track promotion? How do I know it was such a big deal that you got promoted in 12 months? Maybe other people got promoted in 9 months. So fast track promotion in 12 months from X to Y, firm's average is, let's say, 18 months. That is where I see, okay, this guy has done, or this girl has done a lot of things. So the context matters a lot. And again, I'm repeating it, simplify as much as possible. All right. Being technical does not give you more marks here. The more terminologies that you add, the more confusion you create in the plot, and the lesser are the chances for the other person to understand the impact that you have. Okay, quite important in that regard. CTC, etc., team size you manage is fine. In case of reporting manager details, in case it is your own startup, just mention your name. In case the the HR manager is just a switchboard number and there is no HR per se, just mention a manager's name as well here. ISB generally does not reach out to those folks unless there is a solid discrepancy that they see. They do, otherwise they generally do not. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay. And then the other thing that you should focus on is, number of employments that you show. For instance, you're able to, let's say, talk about a promotion that has happened, as I mentioned. Okay. Now, in case your responsibilities changed after that within the same firm, you can mention it as a separate employment. It's absolutely okay. Or during the process itself, it was not a promotion. In case it was a change in department, change in team that has happened, you can show it as a different employment, and another set of this kind of a page can be filled. Okay, that is how you will also show the progression. However, you got promoted and everything remained the same. Don't just do it for the heck of it. Okay, that also we'll be able to see, in ISB, that the next promotion you are repeating the same things or just been able to fill only one line there. All right. Moving on to awards and activities. Here, the idea here is that, again, whatever your extracurriculars are, they need to come out. Now, when it is an award, obviously it is an award and an appreciation that you got it, whatever the level of participation was. Now, 100 characters per award, unfortunately, not a lot of space. But the important thing here is, do not just mention the name of the award. Okay, let's just let's give an example. If GMAT club later on starts a Manan Puri Memorial Award, if the adcom does not understand what it is award is for, they won't appreciate it, right? So awarded for XYZ, for your contributions towards the work going beyond the call of duty, etc. And if possible, quantify X on Y, which is X number of people were awarded on Y, or I was the only one to be awarded among 500 people. Again, the comparator will help here. All right. Uh, Add this in a reverse chronological order, because we then at an ISB then will be able to see that you are able to demonstrate a recency in terms of awards that you've got. If not, then perfectly fine to include some stuff from school as well, but choose the best five that you currently have. At the end of the day, the important thing is how you are presenting that award effectively. Okay. For instance, a an international slash national participation will be better than a workplace or a college participation, let's say, right? Use those kind of filters effectively. Okay. Now, uh, the interesting part here is this is your entire extracurricular thing. Okay. It can be something that you've already mentioned in one of the essays. That's perfectly okay to do that. But here you have to be succinct. Now, the name of the activity is 100 characters. For the designation held, you can add as many characters as you want. So use it wisely. In case you need to add color on the activity that you kind of did, or which level did you participate in, and how did you go about it, and all that, mention that. But of course, do not use it as an essay, right? Another maybe 200 characters should be enough to talk about this. At max 300, not more than that. All right. Again, reverse chronological order in this case as well. Now, in case it's a workplace participation around employee engagement activities, do mention it. It's perfectly fine. In case, or it's you were a trained dancer or whatever, and you performed at various events, mention it here. It's perfectly okay to do that. All right. And in general, now that things have opened up, right? Uh, as we should also not feel that these activities were restricted to just your college or school. It has to continue, because that says and that tells me that this person has always gone beyond the call of duty. So ideally, more that you're able to mention in the workplace or any place else, you're able to show it, and you should show it. Okay. uh, when it comes to hobbies now, again, it's not the traditional, reading, listening to music, etc. 200 characters is a lot. All right. So add more context there. Now, if you have a habit of stamp collection, mention the fact that you've been doing it for X number of years. You've collected Y number of stamps. If you're a traveler, mention, let's say, 15 countries, 14 states, etc., etc. All right. It's very, very important to add more context to it. Hobby is also a way for ISB to gauge how different your personality is. Okay. Now, if you are a painter and you've not done anything professionally, have not participated in events and all that, it becomes a hobby. You can also add that you would be a part of the arts and creativity club at ISB. Now, that is where you demonstrate your research, right? So it's important to add more context when it comes to a particular hobby that you're talking about. It's okay if there are two, you don't need to fill three. All right. But quality over quantity in this case as well. So essays, of course, there are, we've covered that in the past in terms of essays. You can go to our channel or on YouTube. There's a full session that we did. I will not go into details unless people have specific questions around that. I can pick that up after the this application part is done about essays in case you have any questions. All right. Coming to recommendation, make sure to add your recommender now. If you've finalized it, do not wait till the application deadline because the recommenders need time to prepare and all that. Plus, how to choose a recommender? The first principle is around the fact that he or she should know you better, right? You should have worked closely together. You should have, done projects, etc. together. Second, then would be about, if more senior the better. Then if somebody who's from outside India shows a global perspective, those kind of things matter. But first of all is about how closely you work with each other, because the first question is in the recommendation is about in what capacity do you know the applicant. All right. And that is where ISB gauges whether or not you are able to, you know um, able to provide recommendation on the person's behalf. Don't just choose something out of the blue. All right. And I needless to say, do not write your own recommendations, guys. Give pointers to the recommender based on the essays that you're working on. That okay, I'll be discussing these kind of examples in the essays. It'll be good if you could complement that and all that. Do send them pointers. But if you end up writing your recommendations on your own and again not being reviewed, so that the language in the essay and the language in the recommendation remains the same, then it is a red flag at the end of the day. Ideally, you're not supposed to know what your recommender is writing there. Unfortunately, recommenders sometimes don't have time, and or you know people become dubious as well. So if you are writing something on your own, at least make sure it is foolproof. All right, you don't get caught that way. But I will not recommend for sure. That should be the closing statement on this. Maybe edit it out, whatever. Right. um, Scholarships now. Multiple scholarships available. There are a few scholarships that come in after you get an admit, where you have to either write your essay and or ISB considers you automatically for those scholarships. Beyond that, these are the ones that are there. You select something, you have to write an essay on that, usually 200 words. Again, focus should be about what is the need. Despite the need, you've done well so far in your career and you've done multiple things, and then it'll be easier for your family to sustain, etc. In case you are at ISB not earning anything, and whatever scholarship 4 5 10 whatever lakhs they give you, it'll be easier to come about. But once you get in during the course also, there are multiple scholarships that are there. ISB has also, I think, started something around the lines of merit based scholarships during the year. So they earmark a scholarship for you based on your candidature, but they see how you perform during the year and then they give it to you at the end. This is beyond the dean's list and merit list ones that you get. Okay. Now declaration and all that is there in case something has happened in your life. ISB again does not keep it against you in case something has happened. As long as you explain it well, as long as you show your a way past that, that will not be the sole reason for you to be rejected. All right. There is somewhere you have to talk about campus preference and all that. In case you have a specific preference for Hyderabad or Mohali, mention the reason because of that. But ISB still reserves the right to choose whichever campus they put you in. Again, Hyderabad versus Mohali does not matter. The quality of students is the same. The kind of curriculum is the same. Placements are the same. Again, we don't need to harp upon that. So only the food is different. Mohali food I like better. That's it.